We're going to take a look at the learning target. I can add and subtract radical expressions. So what you need to know, when we're adding and subtracting radicals, first step, we want to make sure that each radical is simplified. Then identify the like radicals, just like you would like terms. And then add or subtract the like radicals by adding or subtracting their coefficients. So let's take a look at a couple of. So the directions say to simplify. Here's my problem. I've got -2 times the square root of 5 minus 3 square root of 2 plus 3 square root of 5. So when I look at all of these radical pieces, I've got square root of 5, square root of 2, square root of 5. Those are all prime numbers. I can't simplify them any further. But I can notice here that I do have some like radicals. Right here, I have 2 that have the square root of 5 with them. So just like we would if they were like terms, we just add the coefficients. So I have -2 plus 3, that's going to give me 1 square root of 5 minus 3 square root of 2. I can't simplify any further because these are not like radicals. So that would be my final simplified answer. But what happens if we were given a radical where it wasn't simplified to begin with? So here I have the square root of 54, here I have the square root of 24. Both of these radicals can be simplified further. So I'm going to bring over the square root of 54 over here to the side, and then I'm going to kind of backfill. So 54, we can go ahead and we know it's an even number, so we can divide by 2. And then 27, it is divisible by 3 and 9. Those are the factors. Okay, 2 we can't go any further, it's prime. 3 can't go any further, it's prime. And then 9 is a perfect square. I get a grouping of 3's. So I can bring that 3 out front, okay, because they have a pair, they're buddies. But the 2 and the 3, they're left inside of the house. So when I simplify just that part, I end up with 3 square root of 6. So when I plug that back in, I don't want to forget about the 3 that I started with. So 3 times 3 is 9. 9 square root of 6 is what this first radical term can simplify to. Now I'm going to do the same thing for the square root of 24. I'm going to kind of do this up here. Square root of 24. I'm going to break down 24. I could break it down into 3 and 8. And 3 and 8 would break down. 3 can't break down anymore, but 8 can break down into 2 and 4. 4 is a perfect square, and I'm going to have that grouping of 2's. So that group of 2's can come out front. I'm left with the 2 and the 3 on the inside, which is going to turn into 6, because 2 times 3 is 6. Okay, so again, I have this 2 out front, but the 24 simplified to 2 square root of 6, which is 4 square root of 6. I have a plus sign in between, and now these are like radicals. They're both the same radicand, the same number under the square root. So I can just add the coefficients out front. And 9 plus 4 is 13. So 13 square root of 6 is my final answer. Okay, so now would be a great time for you to pause, try one on your own, and come back and check. This first example, these are all simplified for me. Okay, I can't break down those square roots at all, but I can look at the coefficient parts. So here I have 2 square root of 3's. Here are my like terms this time, or my like square roots. And 3 minus 2 is going to give me a positive 1 square root of 3. And I'm just hanging out with this -3 square root of 5. There's nothing I can combine it with. So that would be my final answer for the first one. And then the second one, now I have 3 terms, so I'm going to have to simplify 3 times if I can. Okay, so if I start here with 8, I'm going to kind of do an upside down factor tree here. I have 2 and 4, and then 4 can break down into 2 and 2. So I have my pair of 2's that get to come out front, and I'm left with 1, 2 that's going to stay inside. But I had a 2 to begin with. I don't want to forget the 2 out front. So 2 times 2 is 4. 4 square root 2 is what this first term simplifies to. Okay, 6 breaks down into 2 and 3. Those are both prime numbers, so I can't break that down any further. That's as far as I can go. Square root of 24, we just did this one, but we'll do it again. So I'm going to go ahead and use, I'll use 3 and 8 again because that's what I used last time. 8 can get broken down into 2 and 4 gets broken down into 2 and 2. There's my group of 2's that get to come out front. And this time I'm left with a 3 and a 2 on the inside. 3 times 2 is 6. I already had a 3 out front. I don't want to forget him, so I'm bringing him down. 3 times 2 is 6, so I'm going to have a minus 6 square root of 6. Let me kind of divide this up so you can see. So now I've got these 3 terms. My like term, my like square root terms here are the square root of 6's. So 3 minus 6 is going to give me negative 3 root 6. And then the 4 root 2 cannot simplify because there are no like roots. If you want more information on this topic, you can check out the Learning Target spreadsheet for additional resources, videos, and practice.